back to our show Dreams, Passion and Your Hong Kong Story, where every time we bring inspirational stories of amazing people from this magnificent land, Hong Kong. Today, we have with us a very dynamic yoga entrepreneur from the state of Tamil Nadu in India. Let's meet Yoganand Andiyappan of Anahata Yoga in Hong Kong. Hello Yoganand and welcome to our show.
Hi Jayakumara, thank you for having me in the show.
So Yoganand was born in Tamil Nadu in India and grew up to be a yoga professional by the time he was 30. But he started practicing yoga as early as the age of 2, and the yoga skills he learned from his father, who's a yoga guru in that area. Yoganand then decided to move to Hong Kong as a professional and worked with Planet Yoga and Pure Yoga for several years. And with Pure Yoga, he also traveled to many different countries, establishing many different centers of Pure Yoga. The entrepreneurial bug hit him a few years ago, and he decided to start his own yoga studio and brought the concept of Anahata Yoga in Hong Kong. Today, Yoganand is the founder of Anahata Yoga. Let's talk to Yoganand and find out what role has Hong Kong played in his life. How was it to grow up in Tamil Nadu? Which city did you exactly grow up there? And when did you decide to become a yoga teacher?
Okay. I grew up in this very small village down in South India called Tirunelveli, which is a temple city. It's very well known. A lot of travelers goes there. We have huge temples. We have a lot of culture. My father started his yoga journey there. And then later in 1990s, we moved to Chennai city, where he established his own yoga school with a research center facility, where he started teaching yoga, collaborated with hospitals and universities, and conducting yoga research programs. So I came to Hong Kong in the year 2003, when I was offered a job in a yoga studio called Planet Yoga. And that was the very first large-scale yoga studio in Hong Kong, where yoga began to pick up from there.
So you were born and raised, I would say, almost in and around Chennai.
Yes.
How was it to grow up in that area? And at what age did you start doing yoga? Did you do it with your father?
Yes. So basically, my father wanted to teach yoga to a young child. Yoga is a practice that can be adapted to any age group. So he wanted to find out why you can't teach yoga to a young children from the age of 2. Why can't you bring in some practices suitable for that child's body and mind? So my sister and I, we began our yoga journey from a very young age. My mother is also a yoga teacher, and we come from a family of yoga teachers.
Wow. So what kind of, I'm curious to know, what kind of exercises would a 2-year-old do?
So immediately when you think of yoga, your understanding coming down to just practice of all these postures. Postures of many body movements. But in India, yoga is a lifestyle, where you practice a certain discipline in your lifestyle and bring in that discipline in your lifestyle. And that is the yogic lifestyle we live in. Postures are not the major practices in yoga from our Indian point of view. Only as yoga came to the West, where people started doing yoga postures as major practices as a yoga experience, the discipline in yoga is not viewed as the most important part of yoga. So my journey started the basic disciplines. Wake up in the morning, do your morning routine. I was interacting with my own body when my father was practicing yoga, and I observed him while practicing teaching yoga. I played with these yoga postures when I was young age. And whatever I can do at that age with understanding my physical ability and mental state, my father was able to teach me at that very young age.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So how and when did you decide to move out of India?
So basically one day, just randomly sitting, reading newspaper, I just happened to see this advertisement looking for yoga teachers in Hong Kong. So I just went and spoke to that person who was interviewing, and he immediately thought I should be coming to Hong Kong. And he really liked the teachings of my father, how my father thought yoga is very therapeutic. It should be available to a common man. As yoga is always viewed as a spiritual practice, it was not available to a large group of people. As you know, in yoga, in India, yoga is viewed very spiritually, and sometimes it is also viewed as a religious practice. So my father very particularly made sure that yoga is for health. You don't bring in any religious practices or rituals into this practice. You can just practice yoga to lead a very healthy life. And that was the learning I received from him, and that was the teaching I brought to Hong Kong and to carry it with me.
So when you came to Hong Kong, was yoga very common, or has it it just started in Hong Kong?
So when I came,
and how many years ago is this?
Sure. So when I came to Hong Kong, it was 2003 at the very peak of SARS. So it was at this very time what you feel now. I was one of the 4 people on the plane who came to Hong Kong. So it was a sudden change of scene. People are also looking for some practice where people wanted to take care of their health, improve their immunity, and they were seeking for some kind of practice that can address these two. And yoga was a perfect fit, where people understood a practice like yoga can give them a healthy, long life. Of course, when I first came, I was 20 and a half years old, so I didn't know.
20 and a half?
Yes.
Wow, you were young.
Yes.
I see.
So I didn't know the responsibilities or the yoga teaching industry in Hong Kong. So it was the very first yoga studios, I have to say, where yoga is very new to Hong Kong. People used to say, I play yoga every day. So they don't really understand the concept how yoga can be practiced, and people thought it's just going to replace a gym or you're running. But now people are aware that yoga is much more than your regular gym routine. It can help with your physical and mental state. It can even address many ailments in your body, and the market has matured nicely, and it is having a lot of future in Hong Kong.
So you worked with Planet, and then you worked with Pure Group. I mean, these Pure, especially Pure, is like really all over in Hong Kong. So what exactly did you do when you worked for them? And what did you exactly learn?
So Planet was a really good training ground for me to really learn to understand the local people, culture, what is their approach to yoga, what are they seeking to yoga practice. So it gave me a good 1 year strong foundation to understand the local people. And yoga is very nicely blended in with the similar practices of Tai Chi. So they seem to understand yoga better because it's very similar to the Chinese practice of Tai Chi. So whereas when I moved to Pure Yoga, that is where I understood to survive in a city like Hong Kong, you need to be much more than just doing yoga postures and just have more knowledge, and you need to know the business point of yoga. You need to know how to run a center, who are all the people responsible to run a center. Whereas in India, our home is our yoga center. We don't have a separate setup. It was not a commercial setup, so I have no experience of running a commercial yoga studio, whereas Pure gave me that training. So I received this knowledge while I was working for Pure, traveling to many countries. And when they're opening new studios, I understood the whole process of how this works. So yoga teachers are an important part of the yoga center, but there is much more behind the scene happening. So I was able to learn those with my time in Pure.
And what excited you to become an entrepreneur yourself?
Basically, I never wanted to be a big entrepreneur or someone, but what I want to bring in is yoga is accessible to all. So my father's motto is yoga should be available to a common man. To do that, find all resources available to you, find all methods available to you, bring this to the common man as much as possible. So in Hong Kong, the reality is yoga is still a very expensive practice. It is not available to a common man. So my wife and I started, thinking about it, and then we thought we should have a proper yoga setup, and still can bring in some traditional practices, what we do in India, and apply this in this commercial setup, and have an NGO organization separately, and have this commercial setup support this NGO to run its activity in Hong Kong, where we can reach the common man. And that is what we are doing now.
Wow. So can you tell us some of the achievements of Anahata Yoga that you are proud of? And can you also tell me what exactly is Anahata Yoga?
Anahata means is the heart chakra.
Okay.
So yoga from the heart. Heart chakra represents love, charity, compassion, devotion, forgiveness, a let go mindset. So which is what the qualities you need in a city like Hong Kong. You need to have these qualities to live in this stressful lifestyle, develop these qualities, be aware of these qualities.
Right.
So I thought Anahata is a nice name to have as a name of a yoga studio. Yes. And yoga from the heart, in the sense when you are representing a very traditional, authentic yoga background, you teach from the heart. You express these qualities from the heart. You are sincere in bringing in this culture from a practice from India and bringing it to the local people of Hong Kong and bringing them the benefits. So basically, Anahata is a place where the classes size are not very big. When I used to work for other studios, I used to have 80, 90 or 100 people in a class. whereas the classes here are very tailor-made according to the students' goals and prior lifestyle. And we do specialize in yoga therapy. So we have a series of yoga therapy classes called back care yoga, detox yoga, de-stress yoga, slimming yoga, because anyone who lives a city in Hong Kong have these goals. They want to de-stress, they have neck and back ailments, they want to stay fit, they want to detox. So we design classes tailor-made for the people of Hong Kong. That actually is a very unique thing about the studio.
But I have heard that you also, I mean, you know, of course you run this amazing studio right in Central in Hong Kong, but you also partner with a lot of charitable funds, and then you also do a complimentary yoga class for all the overseas you know, workers here.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about all your voluntary projects and all your non-profit projects that, you know, you're doing such a great job for the Hong Kong community?
Thank you. So basically this charity what I run in Hong Kong called 𝐸𝑑𝑖𝑎 Yoga Community, the name of my father and my teacher. So what my father did in India, I wanted to bring it to Hong Kong. He goes to prison, teach yoga to the prisoners, even train them to be yoga teachers, give them placements in our yoga studio to be a yoga teacher, change their life. He goes to hospitals, teach yoga for cancer patients, AIDS patients, people who have some acute terminal illness where they can't afford expensive treatment. So he goes to their places, organize, bring in the teachers that we run yoga courses and make yoga available to them. So likewise, I wanted to do something similar in Hong Kong, and Hong Kong needs that kind of approach. Like I said, yoga is still a very expensive practice for a city like Hong Kong. So we decided to set up this NGO and collaborate with many charity organizations who are already helping people who are financially disadvantaged or distressed. So we collaborate with them and bring the benefits of yoga to the beneficiaries of these charities. So we have collaborated with many charities in Hong Kong. We are now working with hospitals in Hong Kong, bringing yoga to the patients through the Patients Resource Center. And we do occasionally run some events to bring a larger awareness to the people of Hong Kong that yoga is a very health practice. To take care of your physical and mental health, yoga can be practiced. So we target financially distressed audience and go to different places in Hong Kong and bring benefits of yoga to them.
What a wonderful initiative. Wow. As an entrepreneur, you know, every entrepreneur has challenges in their business. I'm sure as a yoga entrepreneur in a place like Hong Kong, you must be having a whole set of challenges. Can you tell us what were some of the challenges that you face and which you could successfully overcome, and some that is, you know, you're still kind of facing on an everyday basis?
As you know, Hong Kong is an expensive city. The rental is very high. To strike a balance between the principles of a yogi and a principle of a businessman, you have to walk this thin line and understand the responsibility of a yoga teacher, bringing in these qualities of yoga, teaching people, serving people, still able to survive in this tough market requires a really good balance. And I do believe my yoga practice helped me to find balance in that path. And in terms of challenges, Hong Kong is full of opportunities. So you just have to keep your mind open, use every opportunity you have for you to get to your goal. And for me, my goal is to bring yoga to the common man of Hong Kong, yoga to the medical stream, where people who are going through some health issues can still practice yoga, get benefited from this practice. So for example, we teach yoga as a rehabilitation therapy for breast cancer patients. So people who finish their surgery, they come for yoga therapy, and we actually teach them yoga, simple yoga postures, meditation, relaxation techniques, breathing techniques that has really improved their quality of life. So this is something I see that as an opportunity, but for the people of Hong Kong, this is the challenge, to have a properly trained yoga teacher teaching these classes. So I do feel like Hong Kong really needs these trained teachers. But that I see the opportunity there. So I would like to play a role in that. Yes.
How is Hong Kong for your professional journey? And also, how is Hong Kong for your personal journey?
Hong Kong, the people of Hong Kong has really received me very well. And although I was a very young yoga master, they still respected me for my background, my knowledge, my expertise in yoga. It is very different from India. Naturally, people in Hong Kong, when they see you as a person who can offer them a quality, a practice like yoga, they are willing to learn from you. I was very well received and respected for my career and profession. And I don't see big challenges in Hong Kong. I don't have any regrets. And I believe Hong Kong is a perfect place for me to be here and to still continue to do what I do.
And how is it for your personal life? How is Hong Kong as a city for your family life?
It is great. Again, coming back to the same thing, Hong Kong is an expensive place. As a yoga teacher, you do feel like, you know, Hong Kong is not something you can afford to live in unless you have a stable job. So that comes across my mind almost every single day, because I do think about my peers who comes to Hong Kong for the first time. Their family is still in India. They want to bring the family over, but they simply cannot afford to, you know, have an apartment or something. So I do feel that Hong Kong needs an opportunity for people like us who come here, who really offer great things to Hong Kong, and we need to see Hong Kong as a long term.
Right.
And currently I don't see that as a long term process.
Because of, you think, the high real estate prices?
Yes.
Okay. And
cost of living.
Right, the cost of living, of course. So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
I mean, as much as my life takes me to wherever I want to, go, I will go. My family is from Australia, so I believe that one day I might move to Australia and continue to do this. And my family supports me very well in this journey. They all practice yoga. They do enjoy the benefits of yoga. So that is something my father did that successfully. So all our family members practice and teach yoga in India. So to me, I see Hong Kong as my home, but if I have to make a choice of another place, then Sydney would be my another home.
I see.
Yes.
Well, that is so good to know. So are you ready for a rapid fire question round?
Yes.
That is getting to know Yoganand's Hong Kong story in a bit more fun way. Your favorite yoga pose?
I don't
You can show me.
Okay. I don't particularly have a favorite pose. All yoga postures. Now, for me, as my yoga practice, I don't limit my yoga journey as postures.
Okay.
So to me, I do not want to give a wrong message to the audience. Yoga means doing these funky postures.
I see.
So yoga is a lifestyle to me. Yoga is a discipline for me.
Okay.
So yes, everyone has a favorite ice cream and favorite restaurant. Okay. So if you ask me a favorite pose, I like balancing postures because it brings into the mindset of you have to be balanced, you have to remain balanced. So I love all balancing postures.
So can you show us one?
Yes, why not? So again, don't try this at home because these postures requires a lot of practice. Under able guidance, you can do this. Otherwise, I request you not to try this watching me doing these postures. So this is called a peacock pose, right? You look like a peacock. Your dress looks like a very colorful peacock. So I'm going to show you a peacock pose, right?
Wow. Amazing. It's amazing. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Your definition of a yogi?
Again, someone with a balanced mindset.
Okay. Your favorite place in Hong Kong to practice yoga?
Anahata yoga.
Okay. In your studio?
Yes.
Okay. But if you have to choose outdoor, where would you prefer?
I love any outdoor area. I remember doing yoga practice in the peak and by the water. So I love any natural place to do. Okay. And whenever I go out to teach yoga for the charity group, which is always by the pier, so because we use any public venue to do, I love all those places. It has a natural breeze. It has an amazing Hong Kong view, and you are in touch with the nature of Hong Kong. So I love that experience.
What's your favorite morning routine?
When I say morning routine, spending time with my family, saying goodbye to them, and my boys go to school, and then I come to work, and then getting back to my daily routine of doing yoga, teaching yoga, talking to the students. So this is my daily morning routine.
So you don't do yoga before you start teaching, you mean to say?
If you say postures or your yoga practice, then no, I don't think of yoga postures as my practice of yoga.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So your favorite dining place in Hong Kong, casual and formal?
Okay. Now, if I'm an Indian, so if you ask me about an Indian restaurant, I do frequent Bombay Dreams very often.
Okay.
I do see them, the quality of food is very good.
Yeah.
And formal dining, we are the members of this LRC club.
Okay.
and ladies recreation club, and we frequent there almost every other day. And there is a restaurant called Lotus. They do have very nice Indian food, Asian food. So yes.
Okay. If you have to hang yourself loose with family and friends, what do you do in Hong Kong?
Watch movies.
Okay.
Yes.
What kind of movies?
Any movies, yeah.
I
love cartoon movies because nowadays cartoon movies makes more sense.
Okay.
It has more clear message, and a lot of cartoon movies also now has yoga message to it.
Right.
There is always this cartoon character talking about yoga, body, mind, balance, being, grateful, being humble. So I love watching cartoon movies.
Yes. And other than yoga, any other exercise that you're particularly fond of?
I mean, I love listening to, walking around, hiking. So I go with my boys. They like, bicycling. So I would just go with them, hike around. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
3 words or 3 sentences that describes your Hong Kong life.
My life in Hong Kong. It's fun.
Okay.
It is intense at times, and it's also relaxing at times.
Okay.
Yes.
So fun, intense, and relaxing.
Yes.
That defines Yogananda.
Yes.
As a Hong Konger, what are you most proud about Hong Kong?
Hong Kong is a very lively place. I love the energy of Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a place for people who has passion, who want to do something. Hong Kong provides all the opportunities for you. So you just have to take that opportunity. Yes.
What would you tell a 22-year-old who's looking to build a similar career like yours? What should your advice be to them?
Yes, think long term. So when I first came here, I did not have that mindset, but when the more and more I stayed in Hong Kong, if you think long term, you can really do wonders in Hong Kong. So Hong Kong is a very fast changing place, so most of our goals tend to be short term. We want to do something next month, next year, but if you think long term, you can make a mark in Hong Kong.
Okay. What would you tell the 7 billion people of the world? Why should they visit Hong Kong?
Hong Kong is like in the center of Asia, and if you come here, you don't miss anything. You have all the nationalities living here, all food is available here. Sometimes even my family was worried whether I will be able to survive in Hong Kong because I was a vegetarian. But Hong Kong is the best place to be a vegetarian. So there is nothing you can't find in Hong Kong. There is, everything is available in Hong Kong.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Yoganand, for coming to our show.
Thank you.
We wish you all the very best in all your future endeavors.
Thank you very much for that.
Stay tuned for our next episode on Dreams, Passion and Your Hong Kong Story, where we shall bring you yet another fascinating story from this wonderful land, Hong Kong.